Hello and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, for good and wonderful people of the tube. Hope we're all today, hope you're feeling grand and all's well in your world. I just started the I don't know why it's tickled me so much, but I started the video just now with a hello and good afternoon. That was it. Yeah! Dave gets his own intros, right? Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to another vid. Today, people of the tube, we're gonna do a little experiment with my pedal board and amp. So, a long time back, I was reading and then I saw a rig rundown with Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine. And it always stuck with me and it always kind of like intrigued me how Tom runs his pedals. Because he runs all his effects into the effects loop of his GSM 800 and basically then plugs his guitar just into the front end. And I was like, what would my setup sound like if I did that? You know, if I plugged all my pedals into the effects loop of an amp and then just plugged my guitar into the front end of it, what would it sound like? You know, would it be the oh my god moment or oh my god moment? You know, what would it be? So today, people of Tube, we are going to answer that question. Because I've always been very curious about this, because it just makes things sound a bit different when you run things through an effects loop. So, like I say, today we're going to run my main board, which is, you know, I've got videos on it. If you're curious what my pedal board is, I've got lots of videos on it. Into the effects loop of the CR120. Now, I don't use effects loops at all. I don't like them, really, to be honest with you. The only time I ever really used it was when I was using a Ditto looper. That was the only thing That's the only thing I ever really would run into an effects loop is a looper. So to run all my effects, distortions, reverbs, delays, wah, everything into the effects loop of the CR120 is a bit weird to say the least for me, because I don't really like effects loops, so I'm curious what it's going to sound like. It might sound atrocious, but I don't know. You're going to find out in real time with me, people, because I have no idea what it sounds like. So at this point in time, my pedal board is plugged into the front end of the amp. So there's nothing going to the effects loop at this point in time. So I thought what I would do is I would show you that first. So I'll basically go through a couple of my sounds that I'm going to use. You know, wah, distortion. The golden plexi by Tone City will be on all the time. But I will show you with it off, actually. I will turn it off. I'll show you just the basic clean tone first, then I'll click the golden plexi on. I'll show you the Mel 9, the Line 6 delay modeler. Reverb will be coming from the Zoom alone today. I won't be using the reverb in the amp. And obviously the DS2 and the double muff as well. So I'll go through all those as quick as I can, and then we'll rewire it so all the effects go through the effects loop of the amplifier, including the Boss RC10. I don't know if I'll use the Boss RC10. I probably won't at all, but we'll see anyway. So yeah, without further ado, people of the tube, let's go for this. So again, the first sound you'll hear is just all my pedals going through the front end, how I traditionally run it, running it through the dirty channel. You know, if you've been here long enough, you know how I run everything. Anyway, it's very simple and straightforward. There's no kind of crazy bells and whistles going on here. It's pretty straightforward. So you'll just hear the 57, and then after that, I'll plug everything into the effects loop and see what the difference in sound is. So, without further ado, let's start making some noise. Front end of the amp first. Okay, people tube, there you go. The only pedal I didn't use then was the Mel 9, but that's all my pedals, all the reverb's coming from the Zoom. You heard the delay, you heard the governor distortion, golden plexi, DS2 and the double muff. The only one you didn't hear was the wah, but again, it's just that John Frusciante sounding wah. So, it's just a Vox up. So, without further ado, people tube, what we're going to do now, we're going to rewire this. So, I'm going to plug the entire board into the effects loop, and out of the front of the amp is just going to be my guitar. So I'm going to plug the guitar into the front of the amp, effects into the effects loop in the back, and let's see what it sounds like. So the next thing you'll hear is that. So let's go. I'm very curious. I agree with you, that's a failure in my book. That sounds awful. It sounds like everything's been put under a blanket. And people say that about my tone on a regular basis anyway, so having it put more under a blanket is not a good thing. So, that doesn't work. So that must just be kind of like... Well, I'm guessing because Tom's using his amp for his main sound. Maybe that's why it doesn't work. So, ponderation. What if... One sec, people, too. Bear with me, bear with me. The weird thing that's going on is it seems to have enhanced the compression of the amplifier. The amp seems to be really heavily compressing, and I don't really know where that's coming from because there's no compression on my Zoom pedal. I do apologise, it's probably blowing the camera out, but... So, what I'm doing now... is... I'm going to set the amp up to kind of like a dirty clean tone. So I'm going to set that up like that, and we're going to try it again. And this time I'm not going to use the governor. I'm not going to use the golden plexi. Get your facts straight, Dave. I'm going to use everything else and see if that does anything. It probably won't, but I'm not giving up just yet, PooperTube. So let's try it now with the amp set a little bit more dirty. See what happens. Also, I killed the volume of the amp for some reason. I don't know why that is, but the volume of the amp just went bleh, just dropped through the floor. Anyway, let's try this. Okay, so this isn't working at all, actually. As soon as I kick on my pedals, it's just like dirt city. I mean, the delays are fine. The Mel 9's fine. I bet the Wah Wah's really cool. Yeah, the Wah's doing that Tom Morello Wah thing. this is how you have to for songs like for songs where Tom really uses the wah. All the song names have slipped my mind now because I'm on camera. But for Bulls on Parade, wow wow, I can't play it because I'll probably get murdered by copyright. But for those kind of things, the wah pedal needs to go into the effects loop. It sounds totally different to the front end. So through the effects loop, the wah pedal sounds really, almost kind of like I can't think of a word. I kind of want to use the word fake, but not in the word of it sounds like fake. But it's kind of it's a very distinctive sound. Let me show you that through the SM57. YouTube. So I just had a bit of a thought. So what happens if I only kind of like, because I don't know why I didn't think of this before. I'm just going to move that lead out of the way because I'm standing on it. Okay, move, damn it. Okay, so I've got the pedal board now plugged into the effects return of the CL120, and the other end is not going to the send. The other end is going into the guitar. So now there's something plugged into the front end of the amp. So I don't know why I don't know why I can't kind of give up so easy. I haven't given up so easy, Dave. You're still doing it. Oh yeah, thanks, Dave. Thanks very much for that knowledge. Anyway, so now basically the front end of the amp is kind of null and void. So the dirty channel and clean channel, they're no longer doing anything. We're just into the effects loop. So, oh, and also, PeopleTube, what I've done as well is I've gone inside the zoom pedal and I've turned everything off apart from a reverb. The only thing left is reverb. Okay, so let's see what happens now, because I'm curious. So let's have a play. Okay, so that worked, kind of. The DS2 still went, no! And the wah pedal didn't seem to like it, neither. But that worked better than using the effects send and return and then plugging my guitar into a front end and still using the dirty channel of the CR120. Actually running it just into the effects loop sounded better. But in all fairness, that didn't feel much different, apart from it was still darker. I turned up the tone on the golden plexi just to see if I could get a bit more kind of brightness out of it. But in all fairness, that didn't feel any different, really, to me running into the front end of the amp. In all fairness, it still felt dark. But the distortion sounded cool. I quite like the distortion sound and the dirty clean. But I still prefer the front end of the amp. It's definitely not something I'll really kind of like, start doing or try again. Like on occasion, if I want to get like a certain thing, like for instance the Tom Morello Wah sound. Say for instance I'm recording a song, and I'm like, oh, that'd be amazing for that sound. I would obviously plug my wah pedal into the effects loop of the amp. But other than that, it's not really for me. I mean, this was kind of like, the last kind of stand really for me and effects loops in general. I mean, I do like using them for loopers. And again, for the odd occasional kind of like special effect, I like the Tom Morello Wah. But for me, they're not really a thing. Like I say, PeopleTube, try this out for yourselves. Really, honestly, just give it a go. Just run, if your amp's got an effects loop. I know some amps don't have effects loops. But if your amp's got an effects loop, try this out. But I would recommend maybe this way more than just kind of like plugging everything to the effects send and return and then plugging your guitar into the front end of the amp. Unless obviously, that's a good point actually, Dave. I've just hit on something. I think this doesn't work for me because I rely on my pedals for my sound. I don't rely on the amp. The amp isn't really there doing... Like I say, I set the CL120 or the Marshall MG or whatever amp I'm using. I set them totally clean and use pedals. And it's just occurred to me, Tom Morello relies on his amp for his tone. That JSM800 is his core tone. That's where it all starts. Whereas I don't. I rely pedals. I bet that's why it's not working, PeopleTube. I bet if I used the CL120 and that was kind of like my core tone, like the Dirty Channel set, however I had it, I bet any money this would probably work better because the effects I would use to boost or delays or whatever would be a lot cleaner. They wouldn't get in the way so much. It would be a lot better. But I think it's because I'm using pedals to get my sound. It's not working. PeopleTube, let me know what you think on this one. I'd be very curious to hear what you have to say on this one. Do you think that theory holds any water or not? Because I'm umming and ahhing now of why, in particular, it sounds so dull. Even when I like bypass the zoom pedal, which doesn't really have anything going on it. Like I say, it's got that boosted compression with no compression. But other than that, it's got nothing really going on. But everything just sounds really dull. And again, I think it's because I'm using pedals for my sound instead of using the amp. If I used the amp for my sound, I bet it would work better. I bet that's what it is. I haven't really got a setup to do that with, though, unfortunately. But I bet that would work, PeopleTube. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought to this as well as like it's kind of a mini failed experiment, really, though, to be honest with you. It didn't really work out for me. But again, PeopleTube, go out and try this yourselves. Just see what you think to it, because again, I don't really like effects loops. Like I'll use them for loopers and whatnot. But in general, I've never really liked them, and I wonder if this is the reason why. Like I rely on like the Golden Plexi or the Marshall Jackhammer, then an always-on pedal that's giving me that dirty John Frusciante kind of clean tone to level things out. Is that the reason why this way doesn't work for me? I've just found another dint in my Chapman guitar. Anyway, that aside. But yeah, let me know, PeopleTube. Go out and try this and comment below what you found out. Did you prefer it? Did you not? Did you have the same trouble I did where it was just really too dark and no matter what you do, it just never really seems to be very, very, present. It's always very dull and distant. I'd be very curious to hear how you get on, PeopleTube. So that's how I've got on, terribly. I'm going to go back into the front end of the amp now and be happy for the rest of my life without struggling with that sound. Like I said, the only thing I'm ever going to run into the effects loop is a looper if I need to, or my wah if it's a special effect, or anything else if it's a special effect. But other than that, I'm sticking to the front end. I just like and always have like the simplicity of everything's going to the front end. I'm not one of those guys who can run certain pedals into the front end, certain pedals into the effects loop. It drives me crazy. I've tried to do that in the past and it just drives me balmy. It really does. I can't I can never get things to sound the way I want it to sound. And I think I like things just being a bit grittier, like when they go through like delays and reverbs and stuff. When they're going through the front end of the amp, I don't want things pristine and clean. I like things to have a bit of an edge to them. So I really like that a lot more. But anyway, People Tube, let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Let me know how you get on People Tube as well in the comment section below. I do recommend this because it's quite good fun. And like I say, it's a failed experiment for me, but you know, you have to fail to learn something, and I've learned that this doesn't work for me, so that's really, really cool, and that's always good. I can put that to bed now, because I've been wondering about this for a while. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video for what it is, People with Tube. If you like the videos I do here, please consider becoming a patron at Patreon. Link to that is in the description box below, as well as link to my Bandcamp and Teespring and all the other stuff that might be in there. Anyway, yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this vid, People with Tube. I will see you again for another one. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. Yeah, goodbye now. Thank you for watching. It's been a bit of a weird one. I feel a bit kind of, I feel a bit dejected, if I'm being perfectly honest. I really thought that was going to work a lot better than it did. But, hey ho. Anyway, yeah, goodbye now. Thank you for watching.